The Philosophical Foundation Enhanced Basic Education Curriculum. The philosophical foundation of curriculum helps determine the driving purpose of education, as well as the roles of the various participants. While all foundation purposes set goals of curriculum, philosophy presents the manners of thinking from which those goals are created.
Philosophical Foundation Enhanced Basic Education Curriculum give every student an opportunity to receive quality education that is globally competitive based on pedagogical sound curriculum that is par with international standards. Broaden the goals of high school education for college preparation, vocational and technical career opportunities, as well as creative arts and sports, entrepreneurial employment, and it rapidly change and increasing globalized environment, and make education learn oriented and responsive to the needs, cognitive and cultural capacity, the circumstances and diversity of learners, schools, and communities through the appropriate language of teaching and learning, including the mother tongue as learning resources.
Proponents or agencies, John Dewey. Concept of experience and thinking. Experience is not an object known, but an action performed. Thinking arises as a means of dealing with these disturbing situations by working out hypotheses or guides to future instructions. He believes that if the students learn how to solve, he would be better fit for living in our changing world with its manifold perplexities. William James. Idea must have practical and satisfactory result. Pragmatism is a method of solving or evaluating intellectual problems and a theory about the kinds of knowledge we are capable of acquiring. Pragmatists believe that truth can be modified, that human values are essential to academic inquiry. The truth is not absolute, that meaning and action are intimately connected.
Philosophical foundation, the development of a philosophy of education is extremely important because it undergirds all of the curriculum foundational areas, the policies and standards. Milligan asserts that the philosophy should be developed by all persons concerned, teachers, students, parents, and the community.
Implication on learning process. The enhanced basic education curriculum is as learner-centered, which puts the needs and interests of students at the center of teaching learning process. Some philosophies of education are based and applied in the curriculum: the constructivism, progressivism, and reconstructionism. In constructivism, the curriculum encourages different activities where students can reflect and discuss with their teacher. While in the progressivism, the learner becomes problem solver and thinker who make meaning through their individual experience. And then, the reconstructionism, which K to 12 allows students to experience and take social action on real problems. So, the learners are able to engage in productive and creative undertakings individually or collaboratively.
As the learner is at the center of the teaching learning process, the curriculum must use pedagogical approaches that are constructivist, inquiry-based, reflective, collaborative, differentiated, appropriate, relevant, and integrative. The curriculum shall be gender and culture sensitive, contextualized and global, and it shall be flexible enough to enable and allow schools to localize, indigenize, and enhance the same based on their respective educational and social context. The K-12 curriculum also uses the spiral progression, that is, as the learning progresses, more and more details are introduced. The role of a teacher is important in teaching process. Teachers help students think rationally. Teacher leads for the growth and development of lifelong learning. And teachers serve as an agent of change and reform, acts of a project director and research leader, and also helps students become aware of problems confronting humankind.
The usage of philosophical foundation to enhance basic education curriculum is to provide sufficient time for mastery of concepts and skills, develop lifelong learners, and provides for the use of mother tongue language as the medium of instruction for students in the basic and lower years. To facilitate and expedite, students will be ready and better equipped to join regional contests or competency at the undergraduate level. This means that students will improve communication and social skills, increase positive peer interaction, and many educational outcomes. Moreover, students will gain more knowledge and experience that will be essential in the future.
The usage of philosophical foundation is specifically to enhance basic education curriculum in national aspect is that the transmission of culture. Culture in any society incorporates valued traditions. In this context, curriculum can be considered to be a reflection or a piece of the culture in nation. These traditions include those in the wider society as well as traditions upheld in the school system that reflects the nationality of every individual. The K-12 program, or also known as Enhanced Basic Education Act of 2013 in Philippines, has philosophies in education that makes students globally competent and also represents the country.
Next is the usage of enhanced basic education curriculum internationally. The usage of enhanced basic education curriculum is to provide Filipino learners functional literacy that will lead them in acquisition of skills, knowledge, and practices that would make Filipinos globally competitive. Under this curriculum, learners are taught about morality and spirituality in order for them to be just and humane. They are also taught to enhance their critical thinking and creative thinking skills. This curriculum will help the graduates to have equal chances of getting hired here in our country or abroad. These Filipinos will be a very big help in achieving the goals of our nation.
And now let's talk about the connection of the philosophical foundation of enhanced basic education curriculum to mathematics program. The mathematics framework for the Philippine basic education contains resources that will help curriculum developers, teachers, school administrators, and policymakers to design and implement mathematics curricula that empower students to learn and cause them to better understand and use mathematics in their everyday life. These strategies consider only grades 1 to 10. However, because of the progressive nature of the concepts, curriculum development could easily be extended to cover K to 12. It is hoped that this framework will be widely used and applied by the various stakeholders, and that together we will work towards achieving the vision of scientifically, technologically, environmentally literate and productive individuals through quality mathematics education. Mathematics is one of the subjects most studied and taken up at the pre-K level all the way to college. The Philippine Mathematics Basic Education Curriculum has undergone several revisions over the years. In 1983, the new elementary school curriculum, or the NESC, was implemented, followed by the new secondary education curriculum, or better known as the Secondary Education Development Program, or SEDP curriculum, which was launched in 1988. After curricular reviews that began in 1995, the Department of Education, Culture and Sports, or DECS, now Department of Education, decided to adopt the Refined Basic Education Curriculum, or RBEC, in 2002. Despite the many changes to the curriculum, the goals of mathematics education at the basic education level remain more or less the same. to provide opportunities for individuals to develop skills and attitudes needed for effective participation in everyday living and prepare them for further education and the world of work so that they make worthwhile contribution to the society at large. Mathematics, as we see it, has the following roles in the Philippine education. First, facilitating participation in productive life activities. Everyone needs mathematics, regardless of sex, culture, socioeconomic status, religion, or educational background. All people have one way or another needed to apply some form of mathematical knowledge in dealing with their day-to-day activities. One cannot deny the practical uses of mathematics. For example, making wise purchases, measuring distances, finding locations, estimating expenses, and anticipating future problems to find solution early enough. Second, mathematics as a way of making sense of the world. More than just a set of isolated facts and concepts, mathematics provide us with ways of knowing, thinking, and understanding. Doing mathematics requires logical thought and trains students to think both critically and creatively. In school, the students usually encounter specific problems that apply to the topic at hand. In addition, the thought process that goes into understanding the problem, differentiating what is essential from what is not, being able to make connection among the given information to generate a solution, and verifying its accuracy is surely something that students can apply even in non-mathematical settings. The third is mathematics as a means of communication. Mathematics provide us with a powerful means of communication. An objective language that allows us to express quantifiable relationships concisely. Through mathematics, we can formulate representations to model and interpret both physical and social phenomena. Mathematics is the unifying and integral thread that runs through the sciences, facilitating the connection of ideas in an increasingly information and knowledge-driven society. The fourth and the last one is mathematics as a gateway for national progress. Since a country's economic progress relies heavily on its progress in science and engineering, this demands a strong foundation in mathematics. Mathematics is seen as an essential tool for intelligent participation in a technological society. As the level of mathematics needed in the workplace continues to increase, its study is indispensable in order to develop a scientifically and technologically literate citizenry. Roles of mathematics intertwined. These roles are not disjoint from one another, and more often than not, are intertwined and complement one another. For the significant role it plays in our lives as Filipinos, mathematics is indeed worthy of the focus and attention it receives in our curriculum. It is our hope that through this framework, we can help educators enrich their students' lives as they give them the gift of a high-quality mathematics education. And now let's move on to outcome-based teacher education curriculum.
The Philosophical Foundation, OBTEC. OBTEC means Outcomes-Based Teacher Educational Curriculum. Is an approach where teaching and learning activities are developed to support the learning outcomes. It is a student-centered approach for the delivery of educational program where the curriculum topics in the program and the course contain and it are expressed as intended outcomes for a student to learn. It is an approach in which teachers facilitate and students find themselves actively engaged in their learning.
Philosophical Foundation, Outcome-Based Teacher Education Curriculum. Creation of a curriculum framework that outlines specific, measurable outcomes. The standards included in the frameworks are usually chosen through the areas normal political process, a commitment not only to provide an opportunity of education, but to require learning outcomes for advancement, a promotion to the next grade, a diploma, or other reward is granted upon achievement of the standards, while extra classes repeating the year or other consequences entail upon those who do not meet the standards.
And now let's talk about the proponents or agencies of outcome-based teacher education curriculum.
Plato. Idealism is based on the early writings of Plato. Idealism is the approach that focuses on a subject matter curriculum that concentrates on the culture, grades, and enduring ideas. Values are universal, absolute, and perceptual. Teaching methods focus on the handled ideas through lecture, discussion, and to help students discover and clarify knowledge. Paul Sartre. Existentialism is based on writing of Sartre. Individuals interpret the world from their own perceptions and create their own realities. Aristotle. Realism is based on thinking of Aristotle. Reality exists independent of human mind. The teaching organizes and presents content systematically within a discipline, demonstrating use of criteria in making decisions, demonstrate the ability to think critically and scientifically using observation and experimentation.
Philosophical foundation, outcome-based teaching education curriculum. In the early years, lower-level cognitive outcomes, remembering, understanding, are given in stronger emphasis. The low level moves upward as the years moves on. Higher outcomes like evaluating and creating would have more emphasis in the later years. It is a curriculum team's responsibility to ensure this developmental progression over the program and to make sure the four types of leading outcome are covered appropriately. It developed in establishing outcomes, translate learning outcomes to objectives, performance indicator and competencies, identify and design learning content, determine approaches and strategies, and plan for delivery process, curricular, on and co-curricular.
Implication on learning process. On the outcome-based teacher education curriculum, the learner become responsible for their own learning and progress. Since the curriculum is learner-centered learning philosophy that focuses on measuring students' performances or outcomes, and then outcome-based teacher education curriculum is committed on producing a humane, ethical, and moral person defined as a well-rounded individuals who manifest intellectual competences, conscious of their personal and civic responsibility, and possessing practical skills for lifelong learning. In short, the OBTEC is a model of education that rejects the traditional focuses on what the school provides to students in favor of making students demonstrate what they know and are able to do, whatever the required outcomes are.
In the outcome-based teacher education curriculum, teachers are focused on helping students develop new skills that will enable them to achieve the intended outcomes that have been clearly articulated. Teachers are focused on completing the syllabus by the end of the session because curriculum is designed in such a way that the output to be achieved by the end of the session is decided in the first place. The OBE system provides expanded opportunities for the learners by following a student-centered learning approach. Educators need to give inputs that may include various innovative activities that would help students to reach the desired target. It means that the curriculum design must start with a clear definition of the intended outcomes that the students are to achieve by the end of the program. Teachers also must strive to provide expanded opportunities for all students.
The usage of philosophical education is to present the knowledge and skills of an older generation to the new generation of students, and to provide students with an environment in which to learn the following skills when developing curricula and outcomes, like life skills, basic skills, professional and vocational skills, intellectual skills, interpersonal and personal skills. In a regional education, students are given grades and rankings compared to each other.
content and performance expectation are based primarily on what was taught in the past to a student of a given age of 12 to 18 years old.
The usage of philosophical foundation in outcomes-based teachers' education curriculum in nation is to produce innovative teachers, competent educational leaders, and proficient research scholars who can effectively lead and participate in the ongoing educational reforms at all levels of education that reflects significant role in nation. The Philippine Normal University, being the country's national center for teacher education, uses a philosophical foundation to develop the people as well as the nation to be globally competent. Propelled by the institution's philosophy of education for personal renewal and social transformation. The outcomes-based teachers' education curriculum puts on the holistic development of the teacher as an educated person, a reflective practitioner, a discipline-grounded, and a responsive specialist.
Next is the usage of outcome-based teacher education curriculum internationally. Outcome-based teacher education curriculum was being pioneered by the National Center for Teacher Education, or the Philippine Normal University, in order to nurture innovative teachers who are excellent in their discipline and at par with the best graduates of teacher education in the world, and educational leaders who are competent enough to manage high-quality education programs. The curriculum is committed in producing teachers who are professionally competent, humane, ethical, and moral person, and transformative educator that will help our nation to have internationally recognized teachers.
And now let's talk about the connection of the philosophical foundation of the outcome-based teacher education curriculum to mathematics program. In outcome-based education, we as teachers teach mathematics as an approach that focuses and organizes the educational system around what is essential for all learners to know, value, and be able to do to achieve a desired level of competence. In outcome-based education, we are to achieve these intellectual competencies. First is the higher levels of comprehension, proficient and effective communication, understanding of basic concepts across the domains of knowledge, critical, analytical, and creative thinking, and last but not the least, application of different analytical modes, which are quantitative and qualitative, artistic and scientific, textual and visual experimental observation, and the like, in tackling problems methodically.